Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel, or it's first time here. Hi, my name is Jamie. Today we are going to be recreating a celebrity makeup artist makeup look. I recently did one of these probably like a week or two ago and you guys seem to really enjoy it, so I really wanted to do another one, and today we are going to be focusing on the one and only Katie Jane Hughes. Now if you don't know who Katie is, you should. She is probably one of my favorite makeup artists. I think I discovered Katie probably around a year ago on Instagram, and I have been following her very closely ever since. Her makeup techniques are just so refreshing. It's very unlike what we normally see on Instagram. She has this ability to make a makeup look that would otherwise be pretty much unwearable because it's, you know, a little bit of like a crazier color scheme, or maybe it's in more interesting placement that wouldn't really be suitable for like day to day or like the everyday person. But with the way that she applies her makeup, she makes every single look so approachable, so wearable. And as an artist, honestly, she just inspires me so much. She's also a really sweet person. I've had a chance to just like chat with her very briefly on DMs, and she's just very approachable and sweet. And it's not often that you meet people like that on social media. So I just want to send all my love to Katie. I really think she's just an awesome artist and person in general. And so I was trying to figure out what makeup look I wanted to recreate from her. And as I was actually scrolling through her feed, I came across this look that I absolutely fell in love with. I just thought the colors were so gorgeous, and specifically the eyeshadow placement was really cool and unique. So this particular eyeshadow shape she has done like a couple times, and like I said, she has titled it the Fembot look. She just did this one today with blues, and then she has the actual story where she did this look, and that is what we're gonna be following today. Okay, so without further ado, let's get right into it.
So I'm just doing a little bit of Makeup Forever Ultra HD self-setting concealer around the outer perimeter of the eye.
Okay, so the first thing that Katie does is she takes some of the Makeup Forever Ultra HD self-setting concealer and she kind of buffs it on the outer corner of the eye and a little bit on the under eye as well. She does this because she is going to be building an eyeshadow shape kind of out here, so I think she just wants that area to be already covered before going in. So I'm gonna go ahead and take my Smith 109 and just pick up a little bit of the product and start to buff this on the outer corner. I even feel like I picked up too much product. The thing with Katie is I feel like she always uses like the bare minimum of product, and that's how her looks just always look so incredibly effortless and just stunning. And especially when it comes to the skin, we're not there yet, but I do find that Katie's skin always looks amazing and just so fresh, and it almost doesn't even look like she's wearing makeup because she applies such a minimal amount.
So I've used these two underneath the lash line to create a natural sort of taupey shadow. Do the same on the top.
Okay, so the first thing that Katie does is she takes kind of like a taupey shadow from her Pat McGrath palette, which I unfortunately don't have. I'm gonna use actually another Pat McGrath palette that I feel like is somewhat similar. This is the Mothership 6 palette, and so what she did is she mixed two different colors in the palette to create kind of like a taupey shade, and I think I'll be able to achieve the same effect by mixing these two shades together. It might be a little bit darker, but that's okay. We're really more so focused on the techniques rather than the exact colors in this tutorial anyways, so it's totally fine. So I'm going to just take this brush from Sigma. It's a E42 Precise Firm Blender. I'm gonna mix the two very lightly, and she starts to first blend this on the lower lash line, then she puts it on the upper part of her lid as well, kind of blending it into the fold of the eye.
So I want to create a very fierce, upturned kind of eye, and then I'm bringing it up. I'm ignoring what that line of my eye is telling me to do. So
for the next part, she doesn't really exactly show how she does this, but I can see what she's doing. So she takes a fluffier brush. This is my MAC 217S. And I'm going to take a little bit more of the same two colors, and she pretty much just starts to build this like really upturned shape to give that very exaggerated effect on the outer corner. And I'm going to take a clean blending brush and blend the color. So I realized that the angle of my eyeshadow is a little bit off from hers. Like, this is what I normally do with my eyeshadow. I always bring it out Hers is more so pointing up, and hers also looks way sharper. So I'm actually going to just fix that with a little bit of makeup remover. This is another Katie Jane Hughes tip to use eye cream instead of makeup remover, because sometimes makeup remover can bleed into your eyeshadow, which will create even more of a mess, whereas eye cream is on the thicker side, so you're not going to remove more than you want to, and it still is going to remove the product nicely. It also, I find, doesn't dry out your skin as much.
So I'm using a small My Defined My Kitco brush to create a little shadow in there, which is, I think, necessary when you do like a fierce eye. Not always, but especially when you want it to be like bold.
So I'm gonna take this clean brush. This is just the Zoeva 227 Soft Definer, mixing the same two shadows as we've been using, and just creating that shape on that inner corner. So she pretty much like follows the same angle as the outer corner. So applying that on a bit of an angle and putting it like right underneath the brow, right against the bridge of the nose. This is like nothing I would ever do. Very interesting. I feel like this is absolutely going to be one of those looks that will only look good once the very last step is applied. Before that, it's just gonna look like a hot mess.
So I'm using a referent number 3 brush with the black from the palette, and I'm just going in at the root of the lash to get that depth. And then with what's left in the brush, you can pull that up into that shape, but I'm not gonna take it all the way to the edge because I don't want to disturb that blur.
So next she takes a small little definer brush. She takes the black in the palette. I'm just going to take this shade only, and I'm going to press that against my lash line, like what she did. And then when there's less product on the brush, she kind of flicks it out a little bit. And then she kind of does the same with the inner corner. She just kind of defines it a little bit more with that deeper shade.
So I'm using this like pearly, purpley, something shade. I don't know what it's called, but it's this top right. It's like an iridescent lavender, just through that hollow where there's not much depth.
Okay, so the next part is the fun part. This is when she puts that like hollow shade right in the center of the lid, kind of following that shape that we created where like there's not really much eyeshadow. Now in her palette, she's using kind of like a purple shift eyeshadow. I don't have that eyeshadow here, but I'm actually gonna go into another one of my Pat McGrath palettes, and I'm going to grab this shade because it does have that really cool shift. So what she does to apply this is she takes a flat synthetic brush and sprays it with some Fix Plus to get it nice and wet. So I'm just going to, oh my God, already so cool. I'm gonna apply it there. This is a really cool eyeshadow because it's not totally opaque. She also pulls the eyeshadow up almost like towards her brow. Doesn't keep it only on the lid. Brings it into the crease and almost touching that brow bone.
And with my dry fingertip, I'm using that iridescent blue right over the top. This one. I don't want this to be too neat, the placement. I just want it to go off into that direction.
So the next step, she takes a shade that's right next to the like purpley blue that she uses. It kind of looks like this, but more in that color scheme. This one, however, is gonna work perfectly with the eyeshadow that I did use. She takes her finger, picks it up. Ooh, very intense. And she places it a little bit more concentrated, following the same shape. And this is gonna create kind of like a more intense spotlight effect on this area of the eye. Oh my God, that is so cool. Whoa. And she even mentions how she doesn't want this placement to be too perfect. And that's something that I really appreciate about Katie's looks, is that she doesn't kind of take the makeup too seriously. And that's why I feel like her looks are just so approachable, and that's why they're so fun to watch, because it's not like stressful to recreate. But that addition is out of this world. Like, wow. So what she also does is she takes the same color that she applied right in the center and she puts it right on the inner corner of her eye. So gotta do that as well.
I applied a little bit of this gold color here just to the inner corner at the top and then in the middle of the bottom. And I'm gonna start to do mascara because I'm starting to look like an alien.
So I'm gonna go into the pink over here from the Mothership 7 palette. I feel like if I used gold, it would just look too similar to everything else. With her color story, it works, but with mine, it just wouldn't. So I think this pink is a good choice. Yes, very cool. Putting that on the inner part right there. So the next step is to apply a ton of mascara on the upper and lower lashes. So I'm gonna just do that with my CoverGirl Exhibitionist. Not gonna lie, after doing all of that, like I think this is looking really cool, but I'm questioning everything right now. So I'm really hoping once I apply my foundation, things are just gonna come together. Because right now I'm like, does it look like a 5-year-old did this? I'm not sure. So in the tutorial that I was following, I find she doesn't actually focus that much on the skin. So I'm actually gonna switch over to another one of her tutorials for the skin.
So I'm gonna use my shade of Reboot by Make Up Forever Y225 everywhere. Starting in the jaw area, because I want to prime the brush to the point where it's not really got much product in it before I take the brush anywhere near my eyes. I also might take a smaller brush near the eyes because obviously I don't want to ruin the details that I did.
So she uses the Make Up Forever Reboot Foundation in the shade Y225, which is coincidentally my shade as well. And the way that she applies her foundation, it almost looks like she's barely even touching her skin. She's like just very lightly brushing it on. So I'm holding my brush near like the end and just feathering the foundation on my face. And I'm not taking this near my eyes because she mentions that she wants to use a smaller brush so that she doesn't mess up the details, which makes total sense. And so I'm just feathering this on until there's pretty much no more product left.
So I'm taking a tiny bit of the brightest concealer I own. This is #1 from Armani. I think it's fabric texture or something. I'm just gonna bounce this to almost spotlight some places. Don't go near the eye yet. Just get the product in the brush, get the product sort of blended around first. And then when there's enough to sort of gently tweak by the eye, start going closer. But don't go close with fresh, neat product.
Then she mentions that she takes the lightest concealer that she owns. So I have this Josie Maran concealer in the shade Fair. And she puts a couple dots on the areas of her face where she wants to, as she says, spotlight. So on her chin, she puts like 1 dot. Also underneath the eyes, she puts just like 2 dots. And she starts to blend that out with a small fluffy brush. And then especially when it comes to the eyes, you want to make sure that the product is pretty much completely blended before you actually get close to the eyeshadow. I'm actually gonna go in with a little bit more concealer because I feel like that just did not apply enough at all. So I'm just going with another little dot. And when everything is pretty much blended and I just have a little product left on my brush, then I'm gonna go in to kind of clean up that outer corner a little bit, which I've been waiting to do for so long. I felt like it just looked so messy. And you wanna be very careful. I'm barely even touching my skin here. Kind of just want to get rid of any excess shadow that may have entered the no-no zone right there. My skin definitely does not look as glossy as hers does. I don't know what base she put down, but she didn't say anything. And I wish I knew because it's just so glossy and gorgeous.
So I'm going to use Eros. This is beautiful. Eros Inner Glow from Ritual de Fille.
So for her blush, she is using a cream blush. Katie, I feel like, is very well known for using creams in her makeup. She often will actually even use her lipstick shade on her cheeks as her blush. In this particular tutorial, she's not doing that though. She is using just like a dedicated cream blush. But it looks very similar to this Nude Stick blush in the shade Deep Maple A. It's kind of like this rosy brown color. I've actually never used this as a blush shade, but in the way that she's applying her particular color, it's very light-handed. So I feel like this could potentially work. We're gonna see. Hopefully we don't ruin this makeup. So I'm just taking this Real Techniques contour brush. I'm gonna pick up a little of the product on the back of my hand and just start to kind of apply very lightly. And that actually creates very similar color that she was wearing. I find she's never really shy with the blush. She always applies like a really beautiful amount, so I'm not being shy with it either. And I find she also applies her blush like really in the front of the face as well. This color is actually really gorgeous as a blush. I never would have thought to use it because it just looks so dark, but sheared out, it's quite pretty. For the lips, I don't have the exact colors that she used, but I did find something similar. So she used like lip pencils in a dark peachy shade and then a light peachy shade to highlight the center. And then of course, to line the lips, she used Make Up Forever Artist Pencil and Endless Cacao. This is a lip liner that Katie uses in almost every single one of her tutorials. I actually also really love this lip liner. I've mentioned it a couple times on my channel. It is a really great color because it's very cool cool toned. And so when you put it on your lips, it almost looks like a shadow, and it gives the lips a really gorgeous, very naturally full effect. It's a really, really good color. So I'm first gonna go in with NARS Take Me Home Velvet Matte Lip Pencil. And then going in with Endless Cacao to outline and define. Okay, and then for the center of the lips, I'm gonna be taking this Nude Sticks gel lip color in the shade Alley. So lips are done. Now for bronzer, I'm gonna be using this Bobbi Brown bronzing powder in Golden Light 1. She uses the Bare Minerals Faux Tan bronzer, which I don't have, but that's okay. She really doesn't have anything crazy for bronzer as far as techniques go, so I'm just gonna lightly apply where I normally would.
Doing a little bit of Champagne Rose from RMS. This is my highlighter. Just a touch. I like to put a streak of light through the center of the face with highlighter. Adds like an elongating quality. Now moving on to highlighter, a very important step in a Katie Jane Hughes tutorial. She's like known for her glow. She is using an RMS Beauty Living Luminizer. Hers is in a different shade that I have, but it's the same formula, so I'm really happy that I have the same product. So I'm gonna take my Real Techniques setting brush, and I'm picking up the highlighter with the brush, and I'm applying this on the cheekbone. She also kind of brings it down the cheek over here, which is interesting. I've never really done that before. This is a really gorgeous highlighter, by the way, because it gives your skin a very wet effect, which is very Katie Jane Hughes. So if you're looking for that wet skin glow, this is like a perfect highlighter to do that. She also put some highlighter on the tip of the nose, on the chin, and she also mentions that she likes to put highlighter kind of like right on the top of the forehead. She says it gives a bit of a elongating effect, which is very interesting. I've also never put highlighter there before. Wow, this highlighter is so stunning. I totally forgot how gorgeous it is. I need to use it more often. Oh my God, totally forgot to do my brows. So I'm just gonna do my brows how I would normally do them, and I'll be right back. She actually doesn't mention brows in her tutorial. I was wondering why I felt like I was missing something, and now I know why. So I'm gonna do that and I'll be right back. So this is the finished look. Now, I gotta say, it was definitely very fun for me to recreate this because I've never done anything like this, but I am finding it hard to actually like the eyes on me. Like, I think on Katie, these eyes look unreal, but I think maybe because I'm just so not used to this eyeshadow shape, especially putting that shadow like right underneath my brow, it just creates like a whole different look for the eye. I just find it hard to kind of get used to. Besides the eyes though, I really do like the skin. The Living Luminizer highlighter is stunning. I think what I'm going to do now though is I'm going to take this lip off and change it up with more of like a lighter, glossier lip and see how I feel about it after I do that, because I feel like the lip, even though it is a nude, it's still dark and it even has a little bit of color to it, so it kind of interacts with the eyes a little bit too much, if you guys know what I mean. So I'm gonna take this off and try something else. Okay, I'm still gonna go in with Endless Cacao because this is very Katie Jane Hughes and this is still a Katie Jane Hughes look. Gonna lightly outline and like shade my lips with it. Already I feel like this is so much better. Okay, I'm gonna go in now with a gloss. This is just my Fenty Sweet Mouth gloss. I definitely prefer this look with the lighter, glossier lip, just so all the focus is on the eyes and not the lips at all. And I feel like the glossiness in the lips also really ties in the glossiness on the face, which is really pretty. Yeah, I do like that much more. All right, guys, that is it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed watching me recreate a Katie Jane Hughes tutorial. Let me know down below if you think I was successful in doing so. I feel like I did as best as I possibly could. Like I keep saying, this is so out of my comfort zone. It's so far from anything I've ever done before, but it was still really, really fun to do. I mean, makeup really is all about going out of your comfort zone and just playing and having fun. All right, guys, that's it, and I'll see you in the next one.